I have no idea what to do. Increase my income by 30K or $40, or stay working with people I love. I'm in my early 30s with a wife and child. We are a one-income household, and I currently make $80 base with 5 to 10% bonus. I receive 3% raises. I absolutely love where I work. It is a very renowned healthcare company, but I recently flirted with the idea of seeing what's out there, and I was contacted by a healthcare company in California. After interviewing, they are offering me $110K and $120K base, unlimited PTO, and fully remote. Current employer is taking us from 2 days in the office to 3. My commute is 1 hour and 10 minutes each way. To be clear, this offer is a life-changing amount of money for me, and the position isn't too different in terms of responsibility from what I have now. It'll be a healthy challenge. The most conflicting thing for me is that my current employer is very well established in our industry, and I love my boss and my coworkers. It's a great culture, and I feel a sense of loyalty to my boss especially. But lately, I just feel like I haven't been getting ahead because I only have about $500 left over every month after all expenses are paid, including entertainment. On paper, many would see this as a no-brainer, and I kind of see it that way too. But emotionally and spiritually, I wonder if I would be making the right decision. I really wanted to get your thoughts on this, guys. I'm feeling very emotional about it. Don't you want to be able to retire one day? I know you love the job, but you won't love it if you're still working at 70. That's a good point. Time flies, and before you know it, I'll be 60. I had that conversation with my grandparents not long ago. We turned 30, blinked, and now we're 80. Literally just 38 hours ago, I was in my 40s, and now I am in my 50s. That is how fast time flies. I turn 40 next year. I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. Ready or not, here it comes. Don't worry, you will be 50 before you know it. Don't worry, now you're 60. One day, there will be 1 minute you are in your 30s, and the next minute you are in your 40s. Yeah, 1 minute before your 40th birthday.
I just turned 41 a week ago. Go live life, Fut Bucker.
Yeah, unless you're already set for retirement, I would definitely take the job and use most of the increase for saving. Agreed, take the job. Fully remote is amazing for dads. I see my kids so much more. I am not missing out on anything. I am me for any questions. I have 3 kids now and can say, kids add financial stress. Take the money.
I'm coming up on my last year of 40s in a little over a month. Happy 50th B-Day.
My biggest fear. If it makes you feel any better, I'm early 40s and 21 seems like a lifetime ago. Almost 35 and 21 seems multiple lives ago. I'm 68 and 35-year-old people seem like teenagers to me. Age perception is a trip. I am 58, working with kids that were not even born when I began working in my trade. I'm 389. It's crazy watching humans learn nothing from their own history. Tell us the history of the McRib sandwich. McDonald's found out that they could get a great deal on pig assholes once a year, and the rest is history. My oldest is about to be 37. Crazy thought. I live close to a university. I'm 46. Students walking around, overhearing them talk. I see them as teenagers, like 9th grade. Yet a lot of them are over 21. It's wild.
Yeah, at 65, it's strange to be looking at kids. I work with getting married. But I have to go to a funeral for a friend tonight. I prefer weddings.
Stop killing people then. I'm 33, and it doesn't feel like that long ago. I'm 33, and it feels like a lifetime ago. Almost like it happened to someone else, and I have some of their memories. Some of their memories. So much truth in such a small statement. 31 and same, and that was only 10 years ago. Feels like ages. I'm 38, and it feels like both, honestly. It feels like certain things happened yesterday, but then I think of all the things that have happened since then, and it feels like a lifetime ago. Based on the other comments, sometime in the next 2 years, you're going to blink, and a lifetime will pass by in an instant. Facts, I'm 33, and it feels like a few months ago, time really starts to just blend at a certain age. Everything since 2020 is basically the same year, same age, but personally I'd say that while it feels forever ago, a lot of the time it also feels like just yesterday. I did a lot of living in my 20s, lived in 3 states, 2 colleges, 7 different jobs, 100+ concerts, drug addiction, quit binge drinking, new dog, new car, so many girlfriends, and that was just by 26. Then I found a career, picked up mountain biking, bought a new vehicle, became financially stable, visited 40-50 states. 30s now, I'm planning international trips. Life's actually pretty long if you fill it with things to do. Too many people just work, go home, watch TV, sleep and repeat, and buy materia. All things, spend money on adventures, and life will feel long and full. Best to turn that fear into motivation to live each day to its fullest. Growing old, after all, is a privilege. Yesterday, I was 25. Today, I turned 60 in a few weeks. My mental self-image is as a few years out of college. I'm still not quite sure who that guy in the mirror is. The silver lining, however, is that somehow all the people who used to seem old and mature now seem like total wankers. I watch these geriatric politicians and Silicon Valley billionaires spouting idiotic bullshit and am utterly unimpressed and unintimidated. When I was younger, I would have assumed they were smart and or knew before that they were talking about. Life feels fast for people who fall victim to a routine life of 30 to 40 years, just always being working towards improving yourself and trying new things, and you will not let life pass you by. Nothing to fear. It's inevitable. Just enjoy every moment, so when you're older, you can look back on those memories with fondness. I'm 45, and the last 10 years absolutely went by in the blink of an eye. It just seemingly keeps going faster and faster the older you get, unfortunately. Now you're 80. Best advice is keep doing new things. Cook new recipes, read new books, walk new places. Something about new experiences make time seem to go by slower, rather than doing the same thing each day, and suddenly life has flown by. Miss no opportunity. Best advice I can give you. I'm 34 and 21 seems like 100 years ago. Life was far better then, filled with hope and aspirations and drive than it is now. I'm 34 and 21 seems like yesterday. Don't waste this time. Our son turned 31 on Thursday, and my husband and I looked at each other and said, "When did we get so old?" He just retired and I'm close. Thank you for the sound advice from your grandparents. You footbucker. You're welcome. You Jolnir of 8? Yup, turned 18 and now I'm 22. Crazy fast how time flew by while in college.
I feel it starting. I am 32. No idea how that happened, days melt. I hear your brain tunes out memories of monotonous tasks, so working a boring office job literally rips years off of your life. I am doing that now and losing track of time fast. Working on a career I will enjoy, super motivated lol.
I'm 68. Before you know it, you will be 68. Your choices today will directly impact what you can choose to do, with yourself at retirement, and even when you can retire. Money is freedom. I was able to retire from writing software at 55, largely because I switched jobs a few times to get higher salary. I had to leave some friends behind. But I always made sure to interview the new boss, my coworkers, and my boss's boss before accepting a job. I researched their work environment years before the internet. Interviewing is a two-way process. The applicant should interview any new company they are going into, if they are fortunate to not be desperate. You don't sound desperate. I always took jobs I enjoyed as much or more as my old job. Quality of life at work and home was important to me, and I made damn sure that the job and the commute were worth any extra money. I was able to accumulate a good retirement account and pay off my house early. I am not a bazillionaire, but I have No. I understand the desire to stay at a job you love with friends, but accumulating a retirement nest egg is always helped by taking a higher paying job. Just know what you are stepping into. Remember, most people are at-will employees, and employers can let you go for whatever reason at any time, even nice ones. At 50, I was able to pre-tire and take a job doing exactly what I wanted to do, professionally train people to train dogs at a renowned dog training academy. To each their own. I took a substantial pay cut, but the job was a dream job. I had 5 years of a dream job that didn't pay great, but I had saved enough money to give me choices. Money is freedom. As a result of my earlier career choices, I am now able to do pretty much whatever I want. I went back to school to take classes I was interested in, started studying guitar in earnest, designed and built a few Arduino and Raspberry Pi gadgets, and had a few fun part-time jobs. I got paid to photograph the homes of the wealthy and fly a drone. Edit, grammar, and added this in response to a comment. Money doesn't guarantee happiness, but money can provide the ability to make choices. If you are as old as me with insufficient retirement nest egg, your choices are limited. I'm not a bazillionaire, yet I've been able to choose happiness, and able to choose if and when I wanted to work, pursue interests while I was young enough to have fun. The ability to walk away from a demoralizing job is freed. You are not beholden unto an employer. I've never regretted my life choices, except perhaps staying in an unhappy marriage a decade too long. But even then, the retirement nest egg we accumulated made it possible to choose to split without a financial battle and move on. Money is freedom. This should be the top comment. Amen, brother. That's my idea of retirement as well. Working on what I want to work on. Money is freedom. The last paragraph should have been bookended with this phrase, too. You are so lucky. Money is freedom. What a sad way to think, bro. You gonna die with money in the grave with that type of lifestyle. I would just work enough and do whatever I want and live in my car.
With all respect, I think you misunderstood. I guarantee I'm not going to die with much money left over. My heirs won't get much. I do, and have always done, what I want. I read the book, Die Broke, when I was 20-ish, and kept it to heart. I can do whatever I want when I want at my age, because of choices I made earlier. I worked and earned a decent wage until I was 50, following traditional, normative, career paths. I confess, I was born into a fortunate era, as a boomer. I got cheap. College and real estate was cheap when I started working. I made choices. I tried hard to not accumulate debts, paid my way, invested conservatively, and didn't live a lavish lifestyle. I still don't. I'm no Jeff Bezos, but I had, and have, a great, fun, fulfilling life. As a consequence, at 68, I've been able to do whatever I want for the last 18 years. I travel, I worked part-time gigs I chose, for fun, not money, doing exactly what I wanted. I actually got paid to take pictures, fly a drive, and train dogs. I enjoy playing guitar every day. I cook gourmet food. I live with a person I love, and 2 dogs. I don't live in my car. I have a modest home and unremarkable car, not big enough to sleep in. I wear t-shirts and clothes I've had for years, but keep up to date on my consumer electronics and gadgets. As they say in tacky internet memes, I have no regrets. Looking ahead at age 68, as I must, it costs a lot to die in any country. Life is short, and I'm old. I live outside the US, and I guarantee I won't leave very much behind. End-of-life healthcare is very expensive, unless you live in a country with quality socialized medicine. I don't. I've budgeted enough to die with dignity, and without pain, and not in my car. I am young, so living in a car is not a problem to cut down on living expenses. At the end of the day, I get to what I want without putting up with what I do not want to do for the next 30 years of my life. I have a friend 10 years older than me who lived in a milk truck during the 60s to 80s, and he is doing well. He wrote a book. He's one of the happiest 78-year-olds I know. An ancient surfer dude. He also lived on a boat for a few years after the can, and ran a contracting business. He was a migrant vagabond for a long time. There are many paths to choose to go be happiness and a fulfilling life, enjoy. My husband was making what you are, and in 8 years he had $34K in 401k. Recently he got a job making $180K and had way over $35K in less than a year. You have no idea the kind of weight that comes off of you when you have enough money to feel secure. That if something happened you could cover it. Liking your job is really important, and if it's a bad fit you could always look again. But if it's a good place, you'd be making the best decision of your life. I've been working for over 20 years now, and I've left situations I loved for more money, and both times it ended with regrets. Money isn't everything. Finding a place you enjoy to work that respects you is huge. Be careful chasing money. That raise won't mean anything if you end up hating your new job. I had a very similar thing at one point. The advice I got was, there is nothing stopping the people you like working with from quitting or being laid off a year from now. If those people were gone, would you still be okay where you are on the pay you're at? I started submitting job applications the moment we hung up. Speaking of how time flies, take that 7 hours per week you won't be commuting and spend it with your loved one's sun face. If you really love where you are now, why not ask them to match your offer? You can still keep in touch with your current coworkers and enjoy the new job. The new job and keeping in touch with old friends is not mutually exclusive. Take the 50% raise for sure. Also, you can put a price on full-time WFH, especially with a family. I'm 59. Take the money. There is one important thing to remember as well. No one will ever say, "Man, I wish I worked more," when they get older, so take the extra $30K so you can retire and enjoy life with your family. Accept the offer, get it in writing, and live a much better lifestyle with what a 50% raise can do for you and your family today and long term. It's just unbelievable you're contemplating not going for it. To be honest, once you get $120,000 per year, you'll have many more options. You'll be able to start saving, investing, and get yourselves a 401k, Roth, and 529. For instance, you could request your current company to counter-offer and then see if the new company will counter-offer theirs. Or you could take the higher-paying job, leave your company, and in 1 to 3 years look towards another move. Maybe back to the old company? Who knows? But aim for the $120,000 because that's cheap for CA labor. In some parts of CA, low to moderate income is $125,000, so good luck. Thumbs up. Love the people you work with? Great. See them on the weekends when you're retired early. Yes. This and I was in the exact position. I explained to my team that I love them but not enough to pass over $40K. It doesn't mean that I'll stop being friends with them. We still talk and meet up. And they understand. Leave on good terms just in case new job doesn't work out. Also consider that this may be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you have another child, the $500 you currently have left over each month will vanish. Unlimited PTO is priceless. Forget retiring. Not going to happen. So enjoy the quality of life you can have now, while you can. Yeah, 100% take the job and take the next step in your professional development. Avoid lifestyle creep and start building a nice savings or invest into stock. You can always let your bosses know that you were approached. See if they have a plan for you to get to a similar pay scale. Generally though, if you want big raises, you have to move companies. I am 58. I can retire with my pension. Which is not a lot of money monthly, like $3,000 a month. My house is paid for, but not a lot of money. Your job probably does not provide a pension. Old school. Does the new job offer any retirement benefits that your current job does not? I guarantee you a higher wage will have you spending more on stuff and still in the same boat you are now in. Not that it is a bad boat. Yes, and your manager or team could change without notice. Take care of yourself and your family first. You need to compare the cost of living. Depending on where in California, you might be losing money even with a raise. Don't leave a good thing unless you're certain it's actually to your benefit. More money isn't always more money for you. Sometimes it's just higher cash flow for the sake standard of living. Here's the thing. If you pass this opportunity by, you can absolutely love where you're currently working, and next week they can hire a new VP that decides to put their stamp on things in a way that completely changes your outlook on your current position. Until this month, I worked for Amazon. Incredibly, I absolutely loved it, at first. In June, we got a new director who had no experience in my work area, and bragged about it. He completely changed our team structure, shifts, and work hours. He planted so many weeds in my idyllic garden that I quit with no notice or even another job to go to. A coworker turned in her notice right after me. Neither of us will be replaced, and the weeds are becoming kudzu for those that remain. As I've said repeatedly in the words of Chris Brown, these hoes ain't loyal. You are the CEO of your career. You have a fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders, wife, children, other family, friends, to increase your income to as much as possible. If you can work fully remote without having to relocate to California, you should take the opportunity. Having the ability to retire is what is important. Working at 70 or 80 or whatever is not an issue if you're already retired. I've had bosses who simply work because they enjoy it. Still function and whatnot at 70 and would be bored out of their mind being at home. They just take many more days off and vacations. Agreed. Further point. I feel like a lot of Americans are averse to thinking of themselves as anything but like machines that can be turned on and off and maintained through regular checkups. It's extremely important to provide the opportunity to retire in your later years because the harsh reality is that most people's health becomes significantly less a given factor in their 60s and 70s. No matter what you do that's preventative, and people's physical stamina and mental acuity begin to decline even if they're in good shape. You may end up with pain issues, limited mobility, limited cognitive function, etc., and it'd be a shame if you have to work yourself through them into the ground. You might want to keep working until you're dead, but that doesn't mean you won't have a health issue that'll make it unrealistic, or your spouse won't become disabled by a health issue and your priorities will change from making the money for a certain lifestyle to taking care of the You may also only get a limited time with your spouse, kids, friends, whatever, because of a health issue, and money shouldn't be the thing standing in the way of you making the most of your time. Love your wife, love your kids, love your dog, but don't love your job. Disagree. Spend as much awake time at job or traveling to or from as at home. Might as well enjoy both if possible. Money not the ultimate goal. Would take 30% cut for good job I look forward to most days instead of a mediocre job I dread. No reason you cannot love both home, kids, dogs, cats and job as well. Not many get the last one. But possible. Many upvotes for this. Spilled gold. It's true, and I think op should take the job, but you spend more time at work than with your family. It's important to not be miserable at work. Your current employer would have no problem eliminating your position, should it be best for their business. And that's how you have to look at it. What is the best decision for the business of you? That is some serious life-changing money. I always advise people to leave for no less than 10 to 15% R raise. I usually don't jump for less than 20%. That would effectively be an almost 30% raise. I completely understand about being nervous about jumping from a culture you live to the unknown. But list out all the tangibles and intangibles. Put a score to them 1 to 5. Put a dollar amount to it if you can. Example. Commute time is worth X amount based on current salary to get to office. Add in cost of gas, getting ready, making lunch, snacks, etc. Honestly, I'd make the jump if offered. That's a huge raise and think of that adding up over time. Plus not having to go into an office? Not as big as you think because he would then be paying state taxes for California. You pay taxes to the state in which you live. Better look again. If the business is based in California, he will pay state tax. It is not based on where you live, it's based on where you make the money from. Example, my friend lives in Illinois but works in Minnesota. She pays state tax in Minnesota. It probably depends on the states involved. I'm a remote worker that doesn't pay taxes to the state where my job is. It does, but California is a definite. You are very wrong, and I'm curious if your friend is filing taxes wrong. Generally, if you are a non-resident and all services were performed outside of California, this would not be California-sourced income. Quote, that's just not true. CA might withhold state taxes if the hiring paperwork is not completed correctly, but then the employee can file for a refund at tax time. Here's a thread with one such example. https://www.reddit.com/r/personalfinance/s/fclysigma. I worked for a Massachusetts-based company and worked on Texas. I only paid Texas taxes. As a non-resident, you pay tax on your taxable income from California sources. $120K in CA with one dependent clears about $3,500 a month. The same in Texas clears about $7,700. That's a big difference. The average 1BR rental in DFW is $1,300. Sacramento is $2,300. I work remotely and my job is in California. You do not pay state taxes to California. You pay them to your state. Your choice of work is mainly a business decision. Best to separate the emotions from the money, but make careful choices. I like your list and cost idea. Like I see 3 days in office, 1 hour 10 drive each way. That's 7 hours of unpaid time each week. That's crazy to me, and a bit significant factor. I can't imagine going to a new job that wants me to work 7 more hours without pay. Right? And I'd factor in the time you have to wake up earlier for the commute, get ready, cost of office clothes, cost of gas, etc. Would rather work in an office with people than from home while wife and kids are gone. Kinda lonely. And blurs work-home balance for me. But I'm old. Exactly. You may love your coworkers, but I guarantee they don't love you that much to help you get ahead in life, the same way the extra income would. Also, think of it this way. If one of your coworkers where you're at now got a better job offer, wouldn't you encourage them to take it? So they would want the best for you as well. It's not like you can't keep in touch with him if you so choose. Still working at 70. Still enjoying it, but I've changed jobs every 3 to 4 years. Nah fam, he gets paid in vibes and culture. And if the new job sucks, you now have a history of a higher salary for the next gig, or go back to the first company when something opens up. At the same time, why retire when you love your job? Work a job you love, save for retirement, and live below your means. On the flip side, happiness at work matters. I was at my previous job, which I really loved, for years. We got a new boss and he was clocking me out hours early every day. I got him to put, in writing, that he was committing fraud. Then I was fired for a 100% made-up reason, which would be provable if they gave me about 60 seconds. I'm not saying you're wrong, it's just, there is no black and white answer, skeptical smiley face. Pure small mind ignorance talking. You're telling me someone can't retire on $80,000? The average salary is like $55,000. I sure hope he can retire off that, or else nobody is. Also, unless you're just making deep into 6 figures or more, retirement is far more about savings habits than income. Yes. Take the dollar and save the relationships. Life-changing money is never scoffed at when YPU have it as an opening to current employer that can't offer the same already. Counter offer not a good idea. Better to leave and take the comp. Stay in touch and see if a return to the great people is in order next year or if you're loving life. Personally, I'm just going to kill myself. Take the money. Bold of you to assume op doesn't die in the commute before that. The way I approach this is asking the question, is this the last job you will ever have for the rest of your life? If the answer is no, then you may as well move on now, because you're going to do it eventually, and by prolonging the inevitable, you're losing money. If the answer is yes, ask yourself this. What would you do if over the next 10 years, all of these beloved coworkers and bosses moved on to other jobs? If the answer is that you would leave, then see question number 1. I'm in the same situation as op and this really resonated with me. Thank you. I'm also in the same situation as op and this has been the most helpful advice. Thank you so much. It's hard for me to say my GF is the last one I ever want, law. We've been together 5 years and marriage pressure will be increasing FML. I hope I'm not overstepping or being disrespectful with this opinion, but as you are a family man, your loyalty is to them and yourself first. It doesn't mean you can't have loyalty for a company boss at the same time. It just means that when a decision comes along that is a trade-off between your company versus your family, I think the loyalty to do what's best and right by you guys is highest priority. It would be unfortunate to stay where you are, just to see some of your favorite coworkers leave. They to other companies, move departments, etc. in the coming months, knowing you had denied another job opportunity to stay there for the culture, coworkers and your boss. From your post, it seems like that's what the decision boils down to. Coworkers, boss and culture versus more total compensation with pay and benefits, better commute and what could be, presumably, an advancement in your career. The former lacks certainty and stability. The relationship between my current boss and myself was great for so long but recently just turned on its head, as decisions from higher-ups have come down. Him and I are not seeing eye to eye on demands, compensation and my role in its entirety since there was a sudden internal restructuring. You never know what's going to happen. My friends dislike major and minor changes in their lives and environments. They'll keep everything the same for years if they can. Are you someone that typically does not enjoy or look for change, and maybe that's also counter? I buting to the idea of taking up a new job? I've got to tag on because I really like your statement about loyalty to the family first. Op repeats a couple of times that this is a life-changing amount of money for them, but fails to mention how this would impact their partner or child. I feel like the value added to the family with a raise this large is significant. That would add quality of life to 3 people, not just Op. You make a great point. I'm thinking about it mostly in terms of money and the amount of time I'll get to spend with them, but my wife and child will live better and not have to worry about being tight anymore. Take the job for your family. I recently was in almost the exact scenario, right down to the amount of the raise and household budget. Just went to Chicago for the weekend on a whim and did all the museums and experiences we could. My kids were like, best day ever, over and over. And I didn't have to plan every penny and stress about costs. Every time I feel stressed in my new role, I just look at the bank accounts or start planning the next trip. Much appreciated. I'm actually right outside Chicago, so there are many parallels. Lol. I think I'm going to bite the bullet. I will keep you guys posted for sure. This is dangerous advice. No amount of money can buy time. If Op means that they'll see the family less but get more money, it's entirely not worth it. I think you misread. Op gets more money, full remote. So no more long commute. Means he should get much more family time. He is hesitant because he loves his current work and workmates. You should still be somewhat tight. Don't let lifestyle creep steal all the extra money away. The other thing you be mindful of is CA is expensive. I think if you move to CA, especially the parts the transplants tend to move to, SF, SD, LA, you'll like be in the same spot. I can speak more to LA and you nay to be in the $200K range to even consider buying a home in one of those areas, and that's the minimum. I appreciate you wanting to make more for your family, but the cost of living in CA might make that amount moot. New job is fully remote. He doesn't have to move. That plus there are places in California that are cheaper than the major cities. People always tend to skip over them. But people don't skip over them. They live where the job is. That's true, but I'm more so talking about remote jobs. There aren't a whole lot, but if you're able to snag one and live in a lower cost of living California city, then you're good. You also contribute to making it unaffordable for those already there. Yes, that's the bad part. You made some good points, lol. You're definitely not overstepping. On the contrary, you asked some very good questions that I hadn't thought of, especially the one about other coworkers potentially moving on and then me wondering why I didn't pursue that route, as well. Your point about some friends disliking major change. I think I can be that way too, and it's something I need to stay away from. Anyways, a heartfelt thank you for taking time to give me some guidance. God bless. Good perspective. Wow, this was really well written. This really resonated with me in my current situation, even though I don't make as much as Op anymore and don't have kids. You're right. Loyalty to your family, in my case, fiancé and my dog, is more important than loyalty to coworkers and my boss. It's hard, and you may not love your new coworkers or boss as much, but sometimes change is hard and necessary in life. If it came down to it, your current company wouldn't offer you the same loyalty. Take the money. I completely agree. And that is also what I'm having a hard time reckoning with. I know if my company had to make cuts, they wouldn't have the same loyalty. If your boss is good, they will understand and support you. Leave on good terms. Maybe in a couple years, you can come back and make more money. This Op will benefit more from leaving now and maybe have an opportunity to come back in a better position. That said, Op also shouldn't assume the culture will remain the same for the next 3 to 5 years where he is at. Edit. Grammar. I had a company that encouraged us to help people with good referrals, etc. You could always ask your current employer to match the offer. Tell them how you feel. If not, and the money would be truly life-changing, I don't know how you would pass that up. I asked for a salary match twice. I got it. But the environment after they knew I had looked for work went downhill. In both cases, I left within a year or so. You don't have to tell them you have a different offer. I wouldn't do that. When's it time to change? You've got to rearrange. I was wondering this, if Op told their current company they got an irresistible offer, would they step it up to try to keep them? Aside from the salary, the lack of commute at the new job would be ideal too. The current company would have to offer something pretty great to make me stay. Loyalty is a one-way street with your employer. If you dropped dead today, your job will be looking for your replacement as if you didn't exist. That income increase isn't a net positive, financially or quality of life if you have to move to California. Are you a data engineer? Do you have to move for this job? If you do, will your raise cover the cost of living? Will you be able to qualify for medical benefits? What's the guarantee that you won't be laid off? Ask yourself all of these questions, look at the answers, and that should help you make a decision. Go ask for a counter offer. They say no, there's your answer. Majority of comments are take the money and run. But you aren't exactly making peanuts now. Very close to $100,000 with bonuses. Will you also get bonuses in new position? If you did leave, and left on good terms, there is a chance you could return to the current job in the future. Question mark, question mark. Maybe your current boss will offer X% more to stay and 1 to 2 days in office? I'd start by asking for a raise. Don't mention the new offer, that way there are no hard feelings if they say yes. If you are making $250,000, it might be a closer question. Money isn't everything, but a 50% raise is hard to turn down. Money isn't everything, but money is power. And power can get you most everything. They say money can't buy happiness. And they're full of shit. Every problem in my life can be solved with more money. My mother always taught me, money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you a lot of nice things that can make you happy. She is a wise woman. No, it can't. Cancer? I don't have cancer, so throw that fugazi out the window. Mental health? Check. Shitty townhouse in the burbs? Check. Bald spot? Check. Lack of travel? Check. Student loans? Check. Credit cards? Check. Everything problematic in my life can be solved with a cash infusion. And even if I did, oh gee, I get a place in Sesimbra, Portugal and live my final days with an amazing view. WTF? Mental health? No, cash won't solve that. Bald spot? I'm bald and I've never been happier about my hair situation. The rest of the things you just need to work hard for. It wouldn't even be rewarding if you didn't earn them. Just because something is a problem for me doesn't mean it's a problem for you. Don't know what to tell you except I don't give a shit what you think of my problems. And you can be butthurt all you want at that and I don't care. You sound like a whiny bitch. I guess I just need money to help my problem then. No, you need to work and stop feeling sorry for yourself.
You're needlessly belligerent and unable to consider opposing viewpoints.
Why is there this pervasive idea that money cannot help with mental health?
Do you think stress and depression come from nowhere?
They often come directly from money problems, or the knock-on effects of not being able to buy the things you need.
Also, more money can buy more therapy. It can buy more time with friends and family. Money is hella important to mental health.
Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy a jet ski. Have you ever seen a sad person on jet ski?
First you get the money, then you get the power.
Anything 20% or more, you need to go. I've been in your position where my coworkers were great, I was a top performer in my department, and I liked my boss a lot. 45 minutes commute during rush hour, which was terrible for my mental health.
I got an offer for a 40+% raise, 10 minutes commute, and I took it.
The new salary helped me weather the pandemic inflation better than I ever could at the previous company.
Retirement accounts are growing faster. Coworkers were meh, but whatever, I'm there to work. It also helped me look at my previous
job through a different lens, and I could see how stingy they were with raises and other flaws.
I would most likely still be earning way less than I do now if I had stayed.
Coworkers come and go, bosses come and go, jobs come and go. I'd encourage you to take the calculated risk.
It may open new opportunities elsewhere down the line as well. Take the job and make a better life for your family. Loyalty is what they want, so they can keep you at 3% raise until you die. And don't forget, we are a family. Obviously, follow the money.
The coworkers you love may end up leaving. You may get new leadership changing the culture, your current company wasn't paying you 30 to 40K more, and most importantly, dude. 70-minute one-way commute?
My man.
You have a child and you're about to spend 6 to 7 hours a week commuting. Those hours are incredibly valuable, and you will gain them back with time with your wife and child.
This is an absolute no-brainer. Unless you were planning on leaving your wife, child for Anyo. Their person at work.
Yay, before the commute I was 90% take money. After commute and fully remote option, it's no-brained.
I would do research though on company current financial standing and plans for in-office work or not. There is something to be said about job security. I know that doesn't exist too much, but you also don't want to rush into a role that won't exist 6 months from now. I had a similar scenario in early 2022. I was making 63K and saw I was getting underpaid majorly from the construction on average of 90K. I loved the company and the people and all the benefits, but being a single dad, I need more financial help. I put together a presentation to my boss for the raise, and he told me flat out no. My 8 years of service and excellent work history did not warrant the raise, and no company would hire me for that rate without a degree. We got into a pretty heated disc. Ushin and I went back to work off-site to blow off some steam. I did all the numbers from their benefits, and it didn't make sense not to leave. I out my resume out, and after a few months I had an offer paying over AVG with vehicle allowances, gas card, cell phone reimbursement. I would be making almost 45K more than what I was, so I took it. Financially I am way more comfortable. I can afford to do more with my kiddo and not stress too much about finances. On the other hand, I am in a single office with no windows, one coworker, and the boss, and a lot more stressful. But when my kiddo needs something, I love being able to say yes when they've earned what they are asking. This is the biggest one. Pros and cons that become, what's more important to YOU? I worked at a company where I really loved my coworkers and boss. We were truly a team who looked out one another, and my boss went to bat against management for us often. The company had lots of perks and extensive PTO. The pay, however, was meager. I got wind of an opportunity by word of mouth of a position paying double my salary. I would have to commute, and the PTO was a fraction of what I currently had. But he salary. I jumped on applying and got the job. 3 months in, I realized what a mistake I made. The new company's culture was just not for me. Taking your legal full lunch break was frowned upon. Though they could never tell you not to go, they worked everyone to the bone, and the culture was every man for himself. I mean, everyone was throwing everyone under the bus. I actually saw a grown man cry there from the pressure and fear of losing their job. People would quiet quit or have full-on raw GE outbursts, making a scene before leaving. It was the Wild West. I started stacking my money, knowing my days there were numbered.
Eventually I saw a position open at my old company and was hired back again with open arms. This time with better pay, since they knew they were getting a reliable employee, and I knew how much I wanted to go back, but also my bottom line. The truth is, you won't know if it's right until you try.
Might be better or worse, but the important thing is knowing you always Avenue options.
100%. I've been here now almost 2 years and the pay has been nice, but the stress in this four-walled cave I'm in sucks the life out of me.
I started putting out feelers for a job very similar to my old job.
Great company, great coworkers, and I get to go back remote and work in office whenever I want for another pay raise. Had my final interview today and they finished with, "We'll have our offer to you in Monday."
Pretty pumped to get rid of this 2-hour round trip every day. And I get even more benefits
than I did at my last job, plus vehicle allowance and gas card and other comps.
Sometimes these really are just stepping stones to saving money and boosting income. Good luck. Congrats on moving on. How do your boss respond when you have your 2 weeks? It was an immediate let go. I did a lot for the company as a whole from the beginning, and they gave me a great comp package.
6 months salary, healthcare. Boss didn't like it, but the owners liked me and took care of me one last time.
I still talk to the owners and they've offered me my role back, but in another country, and I'm thinking about it once my daughter is older and off doing her own thing. Nice.
I.am still working at 70.
I think it's a good idea to out yourself first.
Now that you're 70, what would you do different in terms of career?
Good question. I'm curious too. Greater than I'm in my early 30s * with a wife and child. We are a ** one income household. Greater than lately, I just feel like I haven't been getting ahead because I only have about $500 left over every month.
Sorry man, but you've got people who depend on you.
You take the pay increase because the people depending on you need it. Who's your priority, your fun coworkers or your child?
Also, how do you know you won't meet new people at the new job?
Great point. I need to really reflect on who is really entitled to my loyalty. I think I've been wired this way for so long, I need to work on rewiring myself.
One thing I used to do when I was younger was lean on people I was closer with because I felt like the stronger relationship could endure more stress.
And it could, but I wasn't being fair to the other person.
Case in point, I would let my girlfriend down instead of my friends because I felt like she had more patience for me.
And she did.
But eventually she'll start asking whether she's a priority for me or not.
You don't have to give up your friends to prioritize your family. And honestly, your friends will likely prioritize their family before they do you as well, so consider that.
Find out how much your employer values you, tell them you have a better offer, and see how close they can get to it.
I'd ask for the same amount of money without revealing there's another offer to get the truly honest response. An offer when you have one foot out the door already isn't nearly as good as if you can get it without an ultimatum. Well, yeah, I would not frame it as an ultimatum, as I would very much value a good work environment, but I would absolutely give them a heads up and see if they are willing to give a raise or not, and continue to weigh your options from there. No, I get that. I'm just saying I come across a lot of people who are outraged when they get an offer on their way out the door because they're like, "Oh, I see, I wasn't worth that much until I was leaving. F you." When in reality, they never actually bothered to ask for it up to that point. May as well just leave the other offer out of it and see what they really think you are worth at face value. That way, if you get more, you know it's a real measure of your value rather than an, "Oh shit, what a really going to do now?" reaction. It's good to have options. But take the new job and the money. People could well be just as nice at the new spot.
And if you're all buddies at your current position, stay in touch and a boomerang opportunity might appear in the coming years.
Take the offer, you will regret it later when you get passed over a promotion to an outside hire. There's a middle ground here before jumping ship. You can use this offer to negotiate a raise and WFH with your current company. If you actually have a good relationship as you say, they should want to keep you.
You could frame it as you want to stay of course but was recruiter for XYZ that's offering ABC, and see what they say about that. If they turn you down, you'll know exactly where you stand.
For what it's worth, I am very much pro job hopping to get a raise. I also understand being at a great workplace.
But feeling underpaid.
I'm currently in a situation where I left that for a much bigger raise and I want to go back to my old job. Been here a year. But I'm glad I got the pay raise as it's really set me up for success. My emergency fund is full, I can actually save for retirement.
When I left my last company, I turned down a counter offer that could have gotten me there too, but a lot of folks on Reddit said that was a bad idea.
My coworker took the counteroffer though and has been fine, so this is one situation where the good relationship was truly good. So if you really have that strong relationship, use your judgment. I know the people involved can make a difficult job great or a great job difficult.
When you're surrounded by a good group of people, it can be hard to leave.
But people ultimately often move on. You could pass on this job to stay with your current team and boss and they could decide to leave next week. If this is truly a life-changing amount of money, and there are no red flags with the company or how it would impact your career, I would take this offer. I know Reddit can often be cynical about people's relationships with their bosses and coworkers, and I get it.
But also it's great that you have good relationships. If you leave on good terms, maybe the stars will align in the future and you could work with an old coworker or boss again.
I mean, you're talking up to a 50% pay bump immediately, plus being fully remote, so you save over 2 hours of commuting per day.
That's an extra 10 hours per week you can now spend with your family. Take the money and run. Leave your current company on good terms, just letting your boss know it's an offer you simply couldn't turn down. You'll be fine. The grass isn't always greener, but for life-changing money, it certainly is worth the risk, I would think.
I'm all for sticking with a company. NCE, you've reached a comfortable place in life in terms of salary and WLB.
At your current salary, I don't think you're there yet.
With 3% annual raises that basically keep up with inflation, if you stay at the current job you will essentially have the exact same standard of living for the rest of your career. It'll take you nearly 15 years at that pace to get to a base of $120,000. This is a no-brainer, my guy.